My name is Zola Okoro. I am 28 years old, and until recently, I worked as an executive assistant at a global technology corporation. Or at least that's what everyone, including my husband Sterling, believed. The truth is far more complicated. My real last name is Dubois, and Kwame Dubois, the CEO of the company, is my father. But I decided to keep my mother's maiden name, Okoro, and start from the ground up without anyone knowing my true identity. Zola, my father had told me 5 years ago, if you truly want to join the company, you need to understand how it operates, starting from its foundation. I accepted the challenge. I graduated with honors in business administration, but started as an executive assistant, using my mother's last name to avoid favoritism. It was during my second year at the company that I met Sterling Beaumont. He was an ambitious and charismatic sales executive. We fell in love quickly, or so I thought. "You're different from the other women in the office," he told me one night after our first date. "You have class, even if you're just an assistant." I should have spotted the red flag in that even if, but I was too smitten to see the warning signs. We got married after dating for a year. My father, who maintained his professional distance in the office, wasn't completely convinced. "Are you sure about this, Zola?" he asked me. "There's something about him I don't trust." "Dad, Sterling loves me for who I am, not for what I have. He doesn't even know you're my father." "That's exactly my point," he replied, but he respected my decision. The first 2 years of marriage were good, or so they seemed. We lived in a modest apartment in the Midtown neighborhood of Atlanta, Georgia, which matched our supposed combined income. Sterling frequently complained that given his position, we should be able to afford something better. "I don't understand why the old man, Dubois, hasn't promoted me yet," he grumbled. "I'm the best closer they've got." Everything changed when Sloan Vanderzee joined the company as marketing director. She was the heiress of a seriously wealthy family, old money, and she never missed an opportunity to remind everyone of it. At first, I didn't notice anything strange. Sterling mentioned they were working on projects together, staying late at the office. But then the signs started. Late-night texts, phone calls that abruptly ended when I walked into the room, a different perfume on his dress shirts. "You're imagining things," he'd tell me when I asked. "Sloan and I are just colleagues." But one afternoon, while organizing documents in a conference room, I overheard them. "When are you going to leave that assistant?" Sloan's voice was unmistakable. "You deserve better, someone with status." "Soon, honey," Sterling replied. "I just need to handle this delicately. I don't want drama in the office." I froze. My world was crumbling, but something inside me hardened. 5 years of lying about my identity had taught me how to maintain my composure. That night, when I arrived home, Sterling was waiting for me. He wore an expression I had never seen before. "We need to talk," he said dryly. "About what? About Sloan?" My voice was quiet, too quiet. His face showed surprise for a moment, but he recovered quickly. "Yes, about Sloan. Look, Zola, this isn't working. You and I come from different worlds." "Different worlds?" "Yes. Sloan can offer me opportunities you never could. She has connections, money, status. And our marriage? Our vows? Let's be real, Zola. You're an executive assistant. I need someone who can help me grow my career." At that moment, the door opened. Sloan walked in as if she owned the place. "Did you tell her already?" she asked with a smug smile. "Sloan is offering me a position in her family's company," Sterling continued. "An executive role with a salary 3 times what I make now, over $300,000 a year." "I see," I replied, keeping my voice controlled. "Get out of my house!" Sterling yelled, losing his patience at my calm demeanor. "Sloan is a millionaire and can give me the life I deserve." Sloan smiled contemptuously. "You should thank us for being honest with you. Although, to be frank, I always knew she wasn't enough for Sterling." It was then that something clicked inside me. 5 years of lies, of starting from the bottom, of proving my worth, it all led up to this moment. I pulled out my phone and dialed a number I rarely used in the office. "Dad? Yeah, it's me. Remember you wanted to get to know your son-in-law better? How about tomorrow at your office?" The color drained from Sterling's face. Dad? What are you talking about?" I turned to him with a serene smile. "Oh, didn't I mention it? Kwame Dubois, the CEO of the company, is my father. I guess now we truly come from different worlds, don't we?" Sloane stumbled backward. "No, that's not possible." 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. Does that work for you, Dad? Perfect. Sterling and Sloane will be delighted to attend. The next morning I arrived at the office early. Everything seemed normal, except it wasn't. Employees were whispering. "Are you really the CEO's daughter?" Aisha, a fellow assistant, asked me timidly. "I am," I replied simply, "but I'm still the same Zola." "But why work as an assistant?" "Because I wanted to learn the business from the bottom up. As my father always says, you can't lead what you don't understand." At 8:55, Sterling and Sloane arrived on the executive floor. Sterling looked pale with dark circles under his eyes. Sloane, on the other hand, maintained her haughty pose, though I could see her hands trembling. "Good morning," I greeted them from my desk. "Mr. Dubois is waiting for you." "Zola, please," Sterling approached, whispering. "Can we talk this out? There has to be a way." "A way to what, Sterling? To explain why you were cheating on the CEO's daughter? Or to justify the derogatory comments about a simple assistant?" Sloane stepped forward. "Look, Zola, we all make mistakes. Let's be professional about this." "Oh, Sloane," I smiled. "I assure you this will be very professional." The doors to the main office opened. My father stood there, imposing as always in his charcoal gray suit. "Good morning," his voice boomed in the hallway. "Please come in." Once inside, the silence was deafening. My father sat behind his desk, observing them. "So," he finally began, "I formally meet my son-in-law and his friend." "Mr. Dubois," Sterling stammered, "I can explain." "Explain what exactly? How you've been deceiving my daughter? Or perhaps you want to explain the emails I found?" Sloane paled. My father pulled out a folder. "Very interesting emails, where you discuss how to use confidential company information for the benefit of the Vanderzee family company." That's a lie," Sloane protested. "Is it?" My father pressed a button on his phone. "Tiffany, please send in the legal team." 3 attorneys walked into the office, each carrying folders full of documents. "We found evidence of the leakage of confidential information," one of them explained. "Market strategies, client data, financial projections, all sent to external email addresses." Sterling slumped in his chair. I was just trying to secure my future." "Your future?" My voice made him jump. "What about our future together? The vows we made?" My father intervened softly. "Zola, do you wish to proceed with charges?" I took a moment to look at Sterling, the man I had loved, who had chosen money and status over our marriage. "Yes," I said firmly. "Proceed with the charges." "You can't do this," Sloane shouted. "My family has influence." "Influence?" My father laughed dryly. "Ms. Vanderzee, your family is on the verge of bankruptcy. Why do you think you were so desperate to get our information?" Sloane was speechless. "You are both terminated, effective immediately," my father continued. "Security will escort you to collect your belongings, and we await notification from your lawyers regarding the corporate espionage charges." "Zola, please." Sterling knelt in front of me. "I love you. We can fix this." I looked at him with pity. "You know what the saddest part is, Sterling? I loved you so much that I was willing to keep my identity a secret, to live a modest life, all to prove that you loved me for who I was, not for what I had. And you failed." He whispered, Yes, I failed. And not just as a husband, but as a human being. Security arrived to escort them out. As they left, Sloan turned one last time. All this for what? To prove a point? No, Sloan, I smiled. To show that a person's character isn't measured by their title or their bank account. Something neither of you clearly understood. When the door closed behind them, my father approached and hugged me. I'm sorry, sweetheart. I should have warned you better about him. No, Dad. I needed to learn that lesson for myself. I sat in one of the chairs, feeling the weight of everything that had happened. What happens now? I asked. My father smiled. Well, 5 years have passed. I think it's time you take your rightful place in the company. Are you sure? More than ever. You've demonstrated not just your capacity, but your integrity. And that, Zola, is worth more than any title or last name. I looked out the office window at the city stretching below. My life was about to change dramatically, but this time, it would be on my own terms. The following months were a whirlwind of changes. News of my true identity spread quickly throughout the company, and with it came the inevitable reactions. Some employees, especially those who had always treated me with respect, remained the same. Others, who had belittled me for being just an assistant, now desperately tried to curry favor. Zola, Tiffany, the executive who used to demand coffee without even looking at me, stopped me one day. I want you to know I always saw your potential. Really? I replied with a serene smile, because I distinctly recall when you said assistants should know their place. My new office was on the executive floor, but I frequently found myself visiting different departments, especially the assistants area, where I had worked for years. One morning, while reviewing some documents, Aisha rushed into my office. Zola, you have to see this, she said, showing me her tablet. It was an article on a business blog, Scandal at Global Corporation, Vander Z. Harris, arrested for corporate espionage. The police arrested Sloan Vander Z this morning, Aisha explained. Apparently, she didn't just leak information from our company, but from 5 other companies where she had worked before, and Sterling pleaded guilty in exchange for a reduced sentence. He's cooperating with the authorities. I leaned back in my chair, processing the information. I felt no joy in their downfall, only a deep sense of closure. That afternoon, I received a letter in my office. It was from Sterling, sent from the detention center. Dearest Zola, I know I don't deserve your time, but I need you to know something. Everything I did out of greed and ambition. When I met you, I truly fell in love with you. Your kindness, your intelligence, your strength, but I let ambition blind me. Sloan promised me wealth, connections, everything I thought I wanted, but in the process, I lost the only truly valuable thing I had, your love and trust. I don't expect your forgiveness. I just wanted you to know that my biggest regret isn't losing my career or my freedom. It's losing you. Sterling. I filed the letter in my desk without replying. Some apologies arrived too late. 1 year after that fateful day, the company had undergone significant changes under my leadership. I implemented a professional development program that allowed employees at all levels to grow within the company. The message was clear. A person's value is not measured by their initial title, but by their capability and work ethic. At the company Christmas party, my father stepped up to the podium to make an announcement. As many of you know, I've led this company for 30 years. It's been an incredible journey, but it's time to pass the torch to the next generation. I am pleased to announce that starting next month, my daughter, Zola Dubois, will be taking over as CEO. Applause filled the ballroom. Aisha, now my principal executive assistant, had tears in her eyes. Your father must be so proud, she told me afterward. He is, I smiled, but not for inheriting the company, but for earning it on my own merit. A few days later, while clearing out my old assistant desk, I found a picture. It was from my wedding day with Sterling. We were both smiling at the camera, young and seemingly in love. "Are you okay?" my father asked, walking into the office. "Yes," I replied, putting the photo away in a box. You know, for a long time I wondered if I had done the right thing by hiding my identity, by starting from the bottom. And now I know it was the best decision. It allowed me to see the true nature of people, including my own. My father smiled. "Your mother would be very proud of you." I know. She always said that character is revealed in how you treat those who seemingly cannot benefit you. That night, as I drove home, I passed by the apartment where I had lived with Sterling. There were new tenants now, new lives starting where mine had ended. My phone rang. It was a message from Aisha. "Ready for the meeting tomorrow? The new internal promotion policy is causing a stir." I smiled. Life has a funny way of coming full circle. 2 years ago, I was the one sending those messages to other executives. In my new home, I keep a small reminder of this whole experience. It's my old executive assistant badge, framed next to my university degree and my new title as CEO. When people ask me why I keep it, I tell them this story. I tell them about a young woman who chose to start from the bottom, about a marriage destroyed by greed, and about how sometimes we need to lose something to gain something far more valuable. Wisdom. Because in the end, true success isn't measured by the titles we hold or the money we have, but by the integrity with which we live and the lives we touch along the way. And every morning when I walk into my office and see the employees greeting me with genuine respect, not because of my last name, but because of who I am, I know that every moment of those 5 years was worth it. As the company's new motto, which I wrote myself, says, "True value is not in the role you hold, but in how you hold it."